So in this video, we'll be talking about the G41, G42, and G40 codes within myCNC, which are our tool correction left, tool correction right, and tool correction cancel. Here I have prepared a small sample program, which is essentially just a circular arc or a spiral that will be going down on every rotation. And within that program, I'm using tool number 4, or T4. And within the program, I will have a line at the start which says G41, which means tool correction left enable. And then somewhere midway through the program, I will have a line with a code G40, which will say tool correction cancel. So for about half the program, we expect tool correction to be enabled, and then for another half to be disabled. For tool number 4, which we can see in the tool diagnostics window, the current diameter correction is 0. So for our first sample run, we don't actually expect to have any correction. We can launch the program, and despite our G41 value or G41 code to be enabled, so our tool correction is enabled, we don't actually have any correction to speak of, again, because the value of it is 0. If, however, we do input some sort of a value for our diameter correction for tool number 4, for example, if we input a value of 3 millimeters, and we confirm that, we reload the program, and we start it again, then we will see at the beginning that we are now going within the contour. We're not actually going directly over the contour as we used to on our first run. Now we actually have some sort of a correction within our program. And we're going to let this run for a little while, but what we expect to happen is when we reach G40, as we do right now, we now see the marker, the cursor going directly over the contour line, or our toolpath, because the tool correction has now been disabled. We can also do a -3 diameter correction to see what happens in that case. And as we expect, now it's the opposite. Now we have our cursor going outside the toolpath line on our screen. And the interesting part about this is that you can either use this with the G41 command, where you are simply entering a positive or a negative value, or you can have an always positive, or let's say an always negative value within your tool diagnostics window, and you can simply use the G41 or G42 command. This will achieve the same purpose, because you will either correct your program to the left or to the right. Alright, so next we'll talk about our correction X and correction Z values. Let's say we enter a value of 3 for our X correction. We go reload the application and run it again. And we can now see that the entire program has shifted by 3 millimeters to the right. And an important thing to note here is that this is not actually dependent on your G41 or your G42 or your G40 codes. This will always happen. So right now at G40 you still have this shift, because again, this is not a tool correction, but rather a general program correction by an X value or a Z value. And this may not be very useful for applications such as milling. Perhaps it will not be useful in your router, but this is very useful on something like a lathe, for instance, because on a lathe you can account for your instrument changes and your instrument differences between different runs. So I hope this covers the basics of myCNC tool correction for G41, G42, and G40. If you have any more questions or need any more information, please visit our documentation at docs.pvautomation.com.